You may have been told that your personality is random, that your moods are random, that your gifts are random, and that your intensity is something you need to hide so you can fit in. I do not see you that way. I see patterns. I see wiring. I see a deeper logic in the way you think, feel, react, attach, detach, obsess, question, create, protect, and push through life. And when I look at Ardra, I see one of the most misunderstood personality signatures of all. If you carry strong Ardra energy, you are not here to live on the surface. You are not built for fake smiles, weak explanations, shallow friendships, or borrowed opinions. You are built to question. You are built to investigate. You are built to see through what other people avoid. That is why your mind often goes where other people's minds stop. That is why you notice what is broken, what is hidden, what is inconsistent, what is emotionally loaded, and what needs to be understood before it can be healed. Ardra sits in Gemini, so the mind becomes active, verbal, fast, curious, comparative, and deeply observant. But this is not light curiosity. This is storm curiosity. This is the kind of intelligence that wants to break open the outer shell and look at the mechanism inside. You do not just want information. You want the truth behind the information. You do not just want connection. You want realness in connection. You do not just want success. You want to understand the system that creates success, failure, pain, desire, betrayal, growth, and transformation. That is exactly why Ardra connects so powerfully with Enneagram Type 5, Type 8, and Type 4. If you lean like a 5, you become the investigator. You observe, analyze, decode, and hold your energy back until you know enough to trust. You hate superficiality. You want depth, accuracy, and mental mastery. If you lean like an 8, Ardra becomes a challenger. You confront, disrupt, expose, and push against false power, manipulation, and weakness. You do not just see the flaw, you want to do something about it. And if you lean like a 4, Ardra becomes emotionally intense, deeply self-aware, painfully authentic, and unwilling to pretend that shallow happiness is enough. You want what is real, even when it hurts. Now look at the MBTI side of this. Ardra often carries the strategic force of the INTJ, the commanding directness of the ENTJ, and the tactical problem solving of the ISTP. Why? Because Ardra is built to diagnose. It is built to identify patterns, pressure points, hidden motives, and better systems. You may be the one in the room who can immediately sense what is off. You may be the one who can take chaos and map it. You may be the one who can say what nobody else wants to say. And yes, that can make you powerful. But it can also make you lonely if you do not understand your own wiring. This is where self-awareness becomes everything. Your gift is not just intelligence. Your gift is penetrating intelligence. Your strength is not just communication. Your strength is communication that cuts through confusion. Your power is not just ambition. Your power is the ability to handle complexity, emotional intensity, crisis, contradiction, and transformation without running away from reality. But every gift comes with a shadow. Ardra can become overcritical. You can start believing that seeing flaws is the same as being wise. It is not. Ardra can become emotionally detached. You can start living inside your head because the emotional world feels too chaotic to trust. Ardra can become addicted to intensity. You can begin to feel most alive only when there is a problem to solve, a wound to analyze, a conflict to confront, or a mystery to decode. And if that becomes your pattern, you do not just investigate storms, you become attached to them. That is why you need to understand how Ardra behaves in different parts of life. If Ardra influences the ascendant, your whole personality becomes visibly sharp, alert, probing, restless, and intense. People feel seen by you, sometimes too quickly. You may come across as brilliant, intimidating, unpredictable, or impossible to fool. If Ardra influences the moon, your emotional life becomes stormy, mentally active, and deeply complex. You may feel everything intensely, but process it through thought, making you look calm on the outside, while a whole weather system moves inside you. If Mercury is in Ardra, your speech becomes incisive. Your mind becomes research-oriented, analytical, skeptical, and excellent at finding what others miss. This can make you an exceptional writer, strategist, coder, counselor, analyst, or investigator. If Mars is in Ardra, your mental fire becomes sharper and more combative. You may argue brilliantly, fight strategically, and go after obstacles with relentless force. If Venus is in Ardra, your love nature becomes complicated, intelligent, psychologically deep, and allergic to fake affection. You may be drawn to unusual people, intense bonds, or relationships that trigger deep truth and healing. If Rahu is in Ardra, the hunger to know, break through, disrupt, and obsess becomes much stronger. This can produce genius, but it can also produce fixation, anxiety, control issues, and mental overload. If Ketu is in Ardra, you may carry an old familiarity with crisis analysis and detachment. You may see through illusions quickly, yet struggle to stay emotionally engaged in ordinary life. Then come the houses, because the same Ardra energy expresses differently depending on where it lands. In the first house, it shapes identity. In the third, it sharpens communication, media, skill, and research. In the fourth, it storms the inner world and may create emotional complexity around home, mother, and safety. In the fifth, it turns creativity and romance into intense mental and emotional experiences. In the sixth, it excels in solving problems, defeating obstacles, handling conflict, and serving through precision. In the seventh, relationships become mirrors of truth, shadow, honesty, and emotional discomfort. In the eighth, Ardra becomes extremely powerful for psychology, investigation, occult study, trauma work, intimacy, and transformation. In the 10th, it can create a public identity around leadership, research, analysis, exposure, strategy, technology, or healing through knowledge. In the 12th, it pushes the storm inward, making the subconscious active, the dream world intense, and solitude deeply necessary. So if you are young and trying to understand yourself, hear me clearly. Your intensity is not automatically a problem. Your overthinking is not automatically weakness. Your need for truth is not something to apologize for. But none of these become strengths until you learn regulation. Intelligence without grounding becomes anxiety. Insight without compassion becomes criticism. Truth without timing becomes damage. Ambition without emotional maturity becomes burnout, and intensity without self-knowledge becomes self-sabotage. This is why Ardra can thrive in psychology, counseling, mental health support, software, engineering, science, diagnostics, investigation, strategy, law, intelligence work, education, crisis management, and transformational communication. These are all spaces where complexity matters, where hidden patterns matter, where people or systems need to be understood before they can be repaired. Ardra is often at its best when it is helping decode reality for others. And let me say something important for Gen Z and teens especially. You are growing up in a world full of noise, performance, masks, and overstimulation. In that kind of world, Ardra can either become unbelievably sharp or unbelievably overwhelmed. If you do not train your attention, your nervous system, your speech, and your emotional boundaries, your gift can turn against you. You may become cynical instead of wise, hyper-alert instead of focused, detached instead of discerning, reactive instead of powerful. That is the danger. But the higher path is extraordinary. When Ardra matures, you become someone who can walk into confusion and bring clarity. You become someone who can enter emotional darkness and bring insight. You become someone who does not run from pain, complexity, contradiction, or difficult truth. You become the person who can name what is happening, understand why it is happening, and guide what should happen next. That is leadership, that is healing, that is influence rooted in substance. So if this description feels uncomfortably accurate, do not ignore it. Study yourself. Look at where your mind goes under stress. Look at how you speak when you are hurt. Look at what kinds of people you attract. Look at whether you use intelligence to understand life or to defend yourself from life. That one difference changes everything. You are not here just to be intense. You are here to refine intensity into insight. You are not here just to see flaws. You are here to turn perception into wisdom. You are not here just to question the world. You You are here to understand your own pattern so deeply that your mind becomes a tool, not a trap. And if you want me to go deeper into your nakshatra, your MBTI pattern, your Enneagram tendencies, your emotional wiring, your relationship style, and your real personality blueprint, get in touch with me for a deep personality reading. That is where we move beyond general traits and into your actual design, your actual strengths, your actual blind spots, and the path that will help you use your intensity well. Do not settle for labels when you can understand your full wiring. Reach out and let us decode you properly. You are not too much. You are too untrained for your own power. And once you train it, your voice, mind, and presence can become unforgettable, respected, and deeply healing for the people who are meant to find you. This is where your storm stops being pain and starts becoming purpose.